So I was thinking this morning about these 21 days of reflections on the difference between content versus context. I was thinking about what I might share today. You know, it's an interesting thing to talk about something for 21 days that on one level is incredibly simple, and on another level, like all great things in life, is incredibly deep. I thought I'd just share a page from my own life today. I was awake at 2:30 this morning with a lot of content going on. The stuff of the mind. I'm in this phase of my life right now where I'm building my online business around healing. I'm building art. I'm building music. I'm writing. I'm paying attention to the other things that matter, relationships, the one I have with myself, my relationships with others, health and wellness, humor, my content self, which from my perspective is essentially my thinking mind. And then there's something deeper, wider, more all-encompassing. I can't even really call it a relationship. It's more like a place, a context, an orientation. Call it a dimension. When I get jammed up or overwhelmed or caught in my thinking, sometimes these days it's not even really very dramatic. I can find myself coming back to this place quite easily, this dimension of awareness, of conscious awareness. And thank goodness, it's not a practice for me. In very practical terms, and when I talk about it, I don't want to offer it as anything that has to be done, that lives in the world of doing. I want to offer this as something that's already here, a place that we're not really taught to access, or maybe even more accurately, a place that gets covered over by the thinking mind. So this morning, in the middle of the night, I woke up thinking about this thing that happened yesterday where I'd been billed for numerous domain names. I had been collecting them, creating them over the years, and the renewals that had come up turned out to be a lot of money just to keep them in my sphere of ownership. I'm not even using them. I didn't need them. I wasn't planning on anything coming up anytime soon to use them. I was just paying, and apparently paying quite a bit. I was dreading talking to customer support on the website about getting a refund. And instead of lying there trying to get back to sleep from a place of context, of conscious awareness, I just thought, well, why don't I get on top of this right now? I wasn't sleeping anyways, and there wasn't a whole lot of noise around the idea of me getting up and doing something. No voice saying, this isn't the right time, you need to sleep, you have things to do tomorrow. I mean, there were voices there, but the decision that I made wasn't coming from that place. So there was none of that. So I got up and I had a really productive stretch of time. I made the phone call, got the refund. So from about 2:30 a.m. until 6 a.m., I got a lot of stuff done. And then I thought, okay, maybe I should go back to bed, get a couple hours of sleep, because there's a full day ahead of me. A lot of truth in that. And then I'm lying there, and I still can't fall back asleep. So what did I do? Again, I oriented to conscious awareness. Because that's the space everything else does best in. And when I'm there, there isn't too much that can really rock the boat. And even when the boat does get rocked, because we do have minds and we are human, the mind is essentially held. This is so important. The mind is protected, safe, contained, seen for what it is and what it's doing within the space of conscious awareness. And what a gift that is. because we all have struggles. Some of them are small, just everyday, smaller things, what I'm talking about right now. And some of them are monumental. I've been talking about some of those in recent days, and everything in between. All the ways we try to figure life out, make sense of it, wish it were different, try to change it. So this is just a glimpse into my life, my very early morning life of today, because I always find it really helpful to hear about and to share from lived experience what the difference is between content and context. And what difference does it make? For me, living in this dimension of awareness that holds everything else, it's made an enormous difference. You know, the tricky part is trying to put something like conscious awareness into language, because the moment we do that, it can start to feel like something we have to do, have to understand, instead of something we can just be in. And that can actually pull us away from it, from conscious awareness. So today's reflection is just a little bit different, with less explanation and more pointing toward. And my hope is that as you listen or watch, you might get a sense of that space, that it's here, that it's alive, that it's steady, that it has the capacity to hold everything you're going through. Because from that place of conscious awareness, capacity always returns, and from capacity, choice becomes available again. And yes, we will get caught up again. We'll get tangled in the thinking mind. That's part of being human. But we can always come back. We can always return. And when we do, capacity expands again. Sometimes in a big way, sometimes in a small way. But it is reliable. And one of the most important things to understand is this: we do not arrive at conscious awareness through our capacity and choice making alone. Going at things from that direction is sort of like stepping through a doorway, but walking backwards while you're doing it. All the while, the door is morphed into a revolving turnstile that won't stop turning while you're tap dancing. This is the mind without the benefit of conscious awareness at its foundation. It's actually the other way around. We come to conscious awareness first, and from there, capacity opens, and then choice becomes available. So if you're struggling with something that feels familiar or new, something that you've been struggling with for a long time, or something that's just occurred, no matter, the most supportive place to begin is here in conscious awareness. And over time, as you get a feel for that, it becomes the place you can return to again and again. It's actually pretty wild. And I say this as someone who's lived through significant trauma from the very beginning of my life, and then again in more recent years. That I'm talking to you now from a place that knows that this is well within the purview of conscious awareness in terms of navigating it all. It really is. It's doable. So, I think I'll be having an early night tonight considering my wake-up time. Keep walking with me as we continue the conversation next time on day 15. And thanks for being here today.